My name is Zero, today joined by my fishy assistant Serby, and we'll be reacting to some more SCP content. If this is the first time that you found the channel, well, during Horror Week, Serby and I kind of did some research into the SCP stuff.
I started him down the rabbit hole.
I was super excited, and I had so much fun watching all the SCP stuff. There's like so much good horror stuff that I don't know. I got pulled down into the rabbit hole. It gave me the same feeling as going back down the VTuber rabbit hole, which I don't know if that's a good thing. But yeah, we wanted to continue this SCP
no escape
Discovery series with these more standalone videos rather than the streams. So hopefully this is a better viewing experience for you guys. Please do let us know. Oh yeah. It's SCP-049. The only reason I know this guy is because of the horrors that he inflicted upon me while I was playing Containment Breach. I'll link the short in the top right corner. That was so man. I think I quit right after that, if I remember correctly.
You quit and you never went back. That was the end of Containment Breach.
You know, a fitting end, honestly. This is the video by TheVolgun. Let's learn more about this guy who has completely traumatized me.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be studying today is SCP-49. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-49 is contained within a standard secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector 2 at Site 19. SCP-49 must be sedated before any attempts to transport.
This is the guy that made zombies, right?
SCP-49
or was that simply for Containment Breach?
Class 3 humanoid restriction harness, including a locking collar and extension restraints, and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. While SCP-49 is generally
I know what happened to those 2 armed guards.
Outbursts or sudden changes in behavior are to be met with elevated force. Under no circumstances should any personnel come into direct contact with SCP-49 during these outbursts. In the event SCP-49 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender, L. multifida, has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, SCP-49 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance.
Lavender? That's kind of strange. Is that because it's like he's a plague doctor and that's what they used to put like the herbs and stuff into their masks?
Probably.
In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of SCP-49, the entity is to be provided with a corpse of a recently deceased animal, typically a bovine or other large mammal, once every 2 weeks for study. Corpses that become instances of SCP-49-2 are to be removed from SCP-49's containment cell.
You could say that he's a mad scientist.
SCP-49 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and requests for human subjects are to be denied.
I think denying those requests are a good thing.
Update. See Addendum 49.3. Per Containment Committee Order 049.S19.17.1, SCP-49 is no longer permitted to interact directly with any members of Foundation staff, nor is it to be provided with any additional corpses to be used in its surgeries. This order shall persist indefinitely, until such time a consensus regarding the ongoing containment of SCP-49 can be reached.
Can we not just destroy him?
Description.
He's just a guy.
SCP-49 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-49 appears to be wearing thick robes, and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-49's body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-49 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. SCP-49
I kind of imagine that it's like
in a variety
its
of
face isn't a human face. Instead, it just like has a long beak, and the mask is what covers it.
While SCP-49 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become easily irritated, or at times outright aggressive, if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the Pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence
oh yeah, you were saying that he was trying to just
researchers,
remove the pestilence
it does
from
seem
me.
to be an issue of immense concern to SCP-49. SCP-49 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence, often having to be restrained should it encounter such. If left unchecked, SCP-49 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. SCP-49 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown, and autopsies of SCP-49's victims have invariably been inconclusive. SCP-49 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its person at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of SCP-49-2.
Yeah, so 49-2 are the zombies,
are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by SCP-49. These instances do not seem to retain
at least the zombies aren't that threatening.
Or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these
they're not like
instances
the zombies from like a Train to Busan
that
literally sprint at you.
In ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked, or if directed to by SCP-49. SCP-49-2 instances express active biological functions, though these are vastly different from currently understood human physiology. Despite these alterations, SCP-49 often remarks that the subjects have been cured. Addendum 49.1.
Yeah, no, thank you.
SCP-49 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of SCP-49-2 as well as SCP-49. While law enforcement personnel engaged the hostile 49-2 instances, SCP-49 was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all of the 49-2 instances were dispatched,
he is a scientist after all.
SCP-49 willingly entered Foundation custody. The following interview was conducted by Dr. Raymond Ham during the initial investigation.
Dr. Ham.
Interviewer.
All right, before we begin the interview, is it possible that this pestilence thing could also be tied into what was it, SCP-5000?
There's figures for it, yeah.
I mean, since it's like an open source, they could possibly rewrite it into, oh yeah, he knew the thing that was inside the humans all along in SCP-5000.
There's definitely different, people who tried to like be like, the thing in 5000 is like contained within the human soul, and the pestilence is like the soul or whatever, which is why when he reanimates them, they're like zombies
pretty much
or whatever.
Soulless, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like functioning bodies at that point, which is why I was thinking, oh, maybe that's connected to that. I don't know. You guys let me know.
I definitely have heard people
Dr.
make
Raymond
those
Ham,
connections.
Site 85. Interviewee, SCP-49. Playing log, now.
Alors, comment devrions-nous commencer une introduction? Is that French? Can we get a translator?
Dr. Ham, fuck, I don't speak French.
My name is Dr. Raymond Ham, and
My name is Dr. Raymond Ham.
A like-minded individual, no doubt. Wherein is your specialty?
Are we truly like-minded, though?
Biology. Why? A medical man, such as myself, wonders abound. And here, I worried I had been abducted by common street dogs. This place, then, this is your laboratory. I had wondered, as clean as it is.
The pestilence.
And with such little trace of the pestilence here. The pestilence? What do you mean? The scourge. The great dying. Come now. You know the... what is it they call it? No matter. The pestilence, yes. It abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed.
I'm sure like the original story was kind of like a twist of the Black Plague, but SCP-049 has kind of shifted that to this thing called the Pestilence instead.
When you say the Great Dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague?
Yeah, 049 is definitely a play off of, like, the Plague Doctors and the Black Plague.
Yeah.
I see. Right, well, the entities
Wait, he doesn't even know what the bubonic plague is, Rip.
When you encountered them, yes, you reanimated them.
In a manner of speaking, you see things too simply, Doctor. Expand your horizons. Life and death. Sickness and health.
Or maybe pestilence is simply another word for life.
There is only one
The thing that foils people is that someone could have it, like not have it, and then have it the next moment.
and nothing else.
Wait, what? So it's kind of just random chance where he decides you have the pestilence or not?
All of them,
We don't know.
You think you
I
killed
don't know.
those people?
Huh.
indeed.
That's where it's like it's left up to interpretation, right?
But the things we
I see.
recovered were not human.
Yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but that will come with time and further experimentation. I have spent a lifetime developing
But
my
what
methods,
if
Doctor,
the
and will
pestilence
spend a
is
lifetime more
the
if
quantity of
necessary.
soy boy in your blood veins?
Now, we have wasted too much
Yes.
time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own.
Everyone who
where I
uses
can continue
Reddit
my research
must be
when
cured.
needed. And assistance,
Especially
of course.
Twitter.
Though I can provide those on my own. In time.
In time.
Take a whole station of
Nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coat. and
Men
show me
of
to my
science.
quarters, Doctor. Our
I love
work
049.
begins now.
He's like, yes, come on, let's get to work.
Interviewers note, while SCP-49 is capable of communicating in a very human way, there is a strange sense of unease that one
Well, yeah,
experiences
like he
when
communicated in a
his
human
presence.
way. It's
Make
just
no mistake, there is
it
something
feels
very
like he
uncanny
has
about this
no
entity.
empathy.
Additionally,
Because
we've
he's a
confiscated
scientist,
that pointed stick
quote
that
unquote.
SCP-49 keeps waving
He's
around.
trying to find the
Part of
cures
this
here.
was due to standard confiscation
matter what, he has to
protocols
do,
for
right?
the possession of anomalies, and part because 49 really is a menace, swinging it around like he does. The entity was displeased at first, but after we made some concessions in
But
providing it
my
with test
cane,
subjects, which are
not
admittedly
my
more
magical
for the benefit of
cane.
our own research, it warmed up to the idea. Addendum 49.2 Observation Log. While in containment at Site-19, SCP-49 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgery on the various mammalian corpses it had been provided. SCP-49 will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of SCP-49-2, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. SCP-49 will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. The following
He's
is
just
a
a
log of
man of
several
science, and he's so
occasions during
excited
which
to share it.
SCP-49 was observed operating on a mammalian corpse.
Oh,
Observational
man.
log 49.0L.1. Summary.
I would appreciate it though if he
Subject,
didn't try to experiment on me.
SCP-49. Preface. A test subject,
Like, I'd find if he wants to, like, test on the mammalian corpses, you know.
The entity expressed sincere gratitude towards all members of the containment and research staff.
But before I become
Observation
one,
notes.
can you just
SCP-49
ignore me,
began by
please?
asking
So that I can get through
D85-123
containment breach.
several standard medical questions as it began removing tools from its bag. Shortly after finishing its preparations, SCP-49 quickly closed the distance between the two, killing the subject with a touch to its throat. Afterwards, SCP-49 made a number of considerable alterations to the basic structure of the subject's corpse, often introducing
like, "You've been a
fluids
good
from
boy.
within
Here,
its
have a
bag
detox."
into the subject by way of a
Yeah.
hand-powered pump and copper tubing. The resulting 49-2 instance became animated, flailing and grasping at the walls of the chamber with a number of
You know, that
manufactured
D-class
limbs
could have been
while
me
moaning out of an
if it wasn't for
oblong
Peanut.
orifice now present in
Yeah.
its sternum. During this time, SCP-49 was observed taking notes of the instance in its journal and remarking to the watching research staff about the efficacy of its cure. Security personnel entered the chamber to move SCP-49 back to containment and were attacked by the instance. The security team dispatched the 49-2 instance, and SCP-49 returned to containment with no resistance, stating that it was pleased with the results. Observational Log 49.0L.2 Summary. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased goat. SCP-49 expressed gratitude at the provision.
Wait, ちょっと待って. I should probably move ourselves to the left side of the screen instead of the right. I just realized halfway into the video. I mean, being on the right side is a bit more natural because I look to the screen on the left.
I also look to the left.
Yours is mirrored, so you look to the right. I mean, if you've ever seen any of our recordings, you're always looking to the right off screen.
There's just something cooler over there off screen.
Now I'm to the right of you, you're to the left of me. You look right, I look left. We just look into each other's eyes the entire video.
Oh.
Alright. Anyways, continuing the video.
Patient notes. SCP-49 operated on the goat corpse for several days, eventually resulting in an instance of SCP-49-2.
Don't worry about it.
SCP-49 expressed pleasure in this outcome, though admitted the disease was still in its nascent stage. My veterinarian practice is rudimentary, but the patient responded well to the procedure. Observational Log 49.0L.3 Summary. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased orangutan. SCP-49 expressed noted gratitude at the provision due to the similarities between the orangutan and common human physiology.
I haven't heard it yet, but does he consider like
spent several days
the animals also had the pestilence?
Reanimating it several times. However, SCP-49 appeared to be discontent with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it was unable to reanimate the corpse a 5th time, SCP-49 turned the corpse over to Foundation staff for incineration, stating, "I have learned so much from this, though I fear my early optimism was misplaced. I hadn't yet come across such a stumbling block on my road to the cure. More subjects like this would do a great deal in advancing my research." Observational Log 49.0L.7 Full. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased bovine. SCP-49 expressed mild annoyance at the provision, though it accepted it nonetheless. Observation notes. SCP-49 spent several days operating on the bovine corpse, breaking only to dine on a requested dinner of thin crackers, salted pork, and hard cheese.
How do you
Beginning first by embalming the corpse, SCP-49 was observed producing a number of long
syringes. You like remove your
from its
mask and
bag,
just eat normally?
each containing a different dark viscous fluid. SCP-49 described these fluids as essences of the humors.
So he just sucks it up from the tip.
Saying, the pestilence may bring about a systemic imbalance. In such case, before true healing can begin, one must find the humors in balance, or the body will reject the cure. Over the next few days, SCP-49 spent a considerable amount of time adjusting the organs of the bovine corpse with a number of large metal instruments. After 8 days, SCP-49 produced a lightning rod, which Dr. Ham exchanged for an electric cattle prod attached to an extension cord, and struck the corpse in several locations. This action seemingly had the effect of reanimating the bovine, which once again became ambulatory, despite the inversion of the head and reorientation.
Oh god.
Inversion of the head.
Inversion?
What is I don't actually know. Don't tell me what that looks like.
Logs.
It would be upside down, I think.
Now.
Oh god.
Well, we watched you work for several weeks now, and honestly, I'm not sure I understand what you're doing. Could you describe your process in detail?
Oh, goodness no. The process is most intensive. As I said to your assistant,
my methods are far beyond you mere mortals.
In my journals, as I have kept exhaustive records of my work there.
Oh, I see. Well, my concern, Doctor, is that we still don't understand what you're seeking to cure, or how it manifests, or how turning these creatures into quasi-living, mindless drones helps in that effort.
You do not understand the pestilence, even after all this time. Doctor, it is an unspeakable horror. One
Please just tell us what it
shown
is.
its true face many times before, and will again. I find myself blessed with the wisdom and good senses needed to root it out and destroy it. But many, like yourself, cannot. It is a cruel judgment, I fear, to be at the mercy of a disease you cannot fully comprehend.
That still doesn't answer my question.
Exactly, Mr. Ham.
Cure any kind of cure at all?
It is.
It kind of cures life,
You may
so...
laugh at my efforts if you please, but do not besmirch the good name of scientific progress that has developed in this
You can't bring up the good name of scientific progress. Please explain yourself.
Life better than any this creature could have hoped for. Stricken as it was with the pestilence, this creature is now clean.
So yeah,
Unable
we
to
did.
spread
The animals
pestilence,
did have the
and
pestilence.
free
Okay.
from the terror it would have experienced otherwise.
So
This
what
is hardly a
is...
creature at all, Doctor. It's not even.
Do not jape with me, sir. You and your colleagues
Do not
Not
jape
cheap
with
with
me.
me, sir.
unable to look past minor setbacks
I've not heard
to
that
see
in a
salvation
long
taking
time.
place before your very eyes. Do you wait to remove rotten timbers until the whole collapses on top of you? No. You find them and you pull them out and replace them with those untouched by rot. And most of all, you do not simply mock the structure because it
You know,
now
you make good
looks
talking
different
points, but I
to
don't
you.
agree.
It is strong. It is free of disease.
That sounds like someone spoken with
Didn't
the
mean to
pestilence.
agitate you. I'm just trying to understand.
I mean, you also sound like someone with the
Do
pestilence.
mind your words in the future,
No.
Doctor.
Never.
I am a professional.
Me
but
neither, then.
Even professionals may feel the bite of pride in dealing with criticism of their masterpiece. I will forgive this
Wow.
as an act of good
You have to
faith
learn how to accept
between
criticism,
colleagues.
or else people will
there
pile
anything
more
else I can
negativity onto
help you
you.
with?
Oh, 049.
No, that will be all. Another test subject on the usual schedule. You know my preference of subjects with more human anatomies.
More
Attending
orangutans,
researchers
please.
note, SCP-49 does seem to genuinely want to help other humans, though it has not yet been
It
able
is
to
kinda
provide
twisted
a concrete
in its
example
love
of what
for
exactly it
humanity.
is trying to save us all from. I have watched it now for several weeks, and while the outcomes do not seem to ever change, SCP-49 continues to claim that it is growing closer to its perfect cure. I think the entity may be more aware of the reality of these outcomes than it would like us to think. Addendum 49.3 April 16th, 2017 Incident. Starting shortly after SCP-49's initial containment, Dr. Ham conducted a number of interviews with the subject
the name.
regarding its
Dr.
anomalous
Ham.
properties, and over time began to note its displeasure with its subjects and SCP-49-2 instances. This continued for a period of several months, during which SCP-49 never exhibited any aggressive behaviors. On April 16, 2017, as Dr. Ham was entering SCP-49's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded
sir, have the
SCP-49
pestilence.
that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to
Yeah.
a lapse in security protocol and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point SCP-49 had converted it
He's
into an instance of
cured.
SCP-49-2. In the aftermath of this incident, SCP-49 was interviewed by Dr. Theron Sherman.
Oh,
Plain
Rip, you
log.
don't have a fun name
No.
anymore. Don't care about you.
I need you to explain yourself. SCP-049, you are being directed to explain your actions, and I will remind you that failure to cooperate will result in further restrictions during your containment.
My actions do not need to be explained.
You killed Raymond Ham, and then butchered him until he...
Not dead. No, not dead. He is cured.
Yes.
Cured of what?
Cured of the pestilence.
Sir, I had thought you, at least, would realize what luck it is I detected it before.
What pestilence? You keep going on and on about this pestilence, but you have not once been able to properly identify this disease. What could you have possibly seen in him today that you had not seen so many times before? That it would be worth his life?
So yeah, it's not always constant in everyone.
Presents and progresses in unforeseeable fashions, and has a queer way of creeping into the unprepared.
Unless if he's just delusional, which is very, very likely.
Doctor,
Yeah.
it was a mercy I did to him. He is cured.
He is a vegetable.
No, sir. He's ham.
Understand? You and your ilk have proven time and time again not to be men of science, but men of emotion. You cannot appreciate the horrors I have seen. Those many millions who have succumbed to the pestilence and been changed.
Your cure cost Ray his life.
No, good sir, I have saved it. You would allow this
Don't make him say good sir one more time.
The despair of disease and death, ignoring that I have created a miracle. And
What disease? What pestilence? He was a healthy man. He was a good doctor.
I'm offering it freely to the afflicted. You are not worth this argument, sir. You are short-sighted and foolish. Dr. Ham was sick, and I cured him. I am the only one who can do this. My work must continue. There is still so much to learn, so much.
I've had enough of this.
And
Consider your allowances
can be
revoked.
saved. Even you.
Welcome to containment 049.
Might be saved.
We're done here.
I can save them all. I can cast down this plague once and for all. I can do this. Only me. I saved him. Dr. Ham. I cured him. He was sick. I know he was sick. I know he was. And
No, it just sounds like
you are all
he's
sick,
huffing on
but
copium.
I can save you. I can save all of you because I am the cure.
Does he even believe what he's doing is right?
49.4 Post-incident report interview. The following interview is an excerpt from the April 16th, 2017
Or is he just trying to delude himself into believing that everything that he's done is correct?
Dr. Elijah Itkin and took place 3 weeks after the start of the initial
You
investigation.
can interpret it either way.
Playing now.
SCP-049, we are conducting this interview to close out our investigation of your actions taken on April 16th that resulted in the death of a staff member. Do you have any comments to make?
Only that I look forward to the day when you will allow me to resume my work. I have spent the last few weeks compiling my notes and constructing a new theory for how the pestilence was able to infect someone in such an insidious manner that I nearly couldn't detect it.
Have you experienced
Sure.
any remorse for your actions? For the death of Dr. Ham?
Ah, yes. Well, the death of a colleague is always regrettable, but in the face of the pestilence, we must be swift, Doctor, and act without hesitation.
Dr. Sherman noted in his report that you seemed to be mournful during your initial interview.
Mourn? Perhaps. I had not thought that. It is lamentable that a fellow doctor became infected, but the work
Is it possible
continues.
for you to become infected by the pestilence?
As it was,
049.
Dr. Ham's death
He is the
provided
cure.
important insight. Living human subjects are the only way to proceed forward, I am decided. My cure is of little use on dead flesh, and I have gleaned all I can from your generous supply of corpses. My desires turn towards tending to those still living who suffer from the disease.
I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, Doctor. I wouldn't be so sure.
That's not ominous at all.
Okay. I think that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, if indeed you still are, and you're all dismissed. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, Volgun. SCP-049. Big bag of deadly surgical weapons. The Foundation. this is fine. SCP-049, stick! The Foundation. Hell nah, dude.
His cane. Why
We're
would they
taking
take
that.
his cane?
The funniest part is that he doesn't even know what the bubonic plague is. But yeah, I agree with this comment. You can hear the despair and remorse in 049's voice when he's being questioned about his actions against Dr. Ham. The man really meant a lot to him. And I guess he truly did believe that he was infected by this pestilence.
Whether the pestilence is real or whether it's all in 049's head, he truly believes it and is doing his best to try and cure it. He's a good guy, if not a little misguided, maybe. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's our only hope.
It's believed that traumatic experiences of the Black Death across Europe drove him insane. SCP-035 hints at this and how he watched his friends slowly started acting more unnatural. 035. I guess that's related to this.
I don't know it off the top of my head. It's a lot of numbers to remember, you know?
Yeah, truly.
And I certainly haven't watched all of them or read.
That was actually insightful. I mean, I didn't really have the chance to read his file during Containment Breach because I was running for my life. But it seems like with how open-ended they wrote his story, they're able to connect it to several different things, and you're able to interpret his actions several different ways. The way I feel is that he is a mad scientist who has gone a little cuckoo. Perhaps maybe he has turned a little Junie, and he believes people to be infected by this so-called pestilence. And he's already done so much against it that he can't go back. He can't accept that it might not be real. And so he continues his research, conducting these experiments and such. I thought that he didn't feel like empathy towards anyone or like the subjects, but in the end here with Mr. Ham, perhaps because he smelled nice, there was a hint of empathy here. Perhaps a little regret of what he has done.
I think he genuinely does care about people and really is trying to create a cure for this disease, whatever it is. It's just questionable whether there is such a thing as this pestilence and whether or not he's just kind of crazy, right? But in his head, he definitely does care, I think. He's a good guy. He's just not a safe guy.
Definitely not a safe guy to be around. Also, don't send any Class D personnel into his cage, please. That may or may not be us. Maybe we'll go look up what SCP-035 is after this. Also, guys, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. There's so many suggestions that you guys have given us, and it's going to take us a while to get around to them all. There isn't really like a good direction to dive into this rabbit hole. You can pretty much go anywhere. We'll see where we end up at. Check out this playlist if you want to see more of our SCP stuff. But until next time, later, my dudes.
Bye bye.